What's going on, everyone? About 56% of stocks in the S&P 500 today finished in the red. The market chopped around for most of the day, but then ended up dumping pretty hard towards close. And this is happening as the market is on one of its longest streaks in 6 years without a 2% pullback. So, of course, we're going to dive deep into some of those fun stats. But, of course, we also have to talk about the pretty big news between McDonald's and Krispy Kreme and their brand new nationwide deal. Ticker symbol DNUT, or Krispy Kreme, popped up by 40% today off of this news, so make sure to stick around for that. But we also have a lot of other crazy moving stocks to talk about. And Tom, we have a short week this week because of Good Friday, so let's make these next couple days count.
Yeah, let's definitely do it. Like you said, it's going to be a short week, and there is no trading on Friday for Good Friday. So no trading Friday, March 29th. I just want everybody to be aware of that. Do not forget that this week. But that just means that we have to make the next couple days count even more. There's been so much crazy movement out there with a few stocks that we've talked about, like DNUT, like you mentioned today. And we've also been talking about DJT, the Donald Trump Media Corp, quite a bit over the past couple days as DWAC switched tickers and this one popped off. But Mike, I guess the first one that really caught my eye today was DNUT. I think that this stock was one of the best ones of the day, up 40%. Definitely had one of the higher percentage moves out there in the market. And they had this great deal with McDonald's where they're going to start selling Krispy Kremes at McDonald's, which I think is actually awesome. I cannot wait to go to McDonald's and pick one of these suckers up.
There we go. But yeah, I think this deal is going to be a huge win for Krispy Kreme. I know a couple months ago, McDonald's and Krispy Kreme kind of tested this concept out, and clearly it's working pretty well considering that they want to expand this nationwide. And it says that they're going to have this expanded to all McDonald's locations in the United States by the end of 2026. So that's pretty exciting. And from Krispy Kreme's perspective, it's a huge win, of course, just due to the brand exposure, but then also because, in terms of just having exposure to everyone around the entire country, it's hard to find a better partner than a company like McDonald's, especially in a situation like this. So I'm excited to see how Krispy Kreme does from this deal.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really gets more American than McDonald's, right? And whenever you think of Krispy Kreme, we go back and see other companies that have benefited from McDonald's over the years too. Like Coca-Cola, for example, is a huge deal with McDonald's. So, I could see Krispy Kreme doing really well from this, Mike, and the stock's starting to really take off. If we go to the daily chart, it had actually been bouncing down around support quite a bit over the past few months, and it's been consolidating a lot. So I'm watching this. We're starting to really have a good gap up, and who knows how much more this thing could run in the short term. DNUT, the ticker, has not been on the exchange for too long, so we don't have too much data going back, but it's starting to get back up to those recent highs.
Yeah, so just keep a close eye on this one in the short term. There's a ton of volume and attention and money flowing into it, but like many other short-term setups, it is all a game of momentum. The more that this stock runs up, the more that people talk about it, and the more attention it gets, that brings in even more buyers, and it's like it's a snowball effect, right? But eventually, the tide will turn and the buyers will stop flowing in. You just want to make sure when the momentum slows, you are not caught holding the bag. So keep a close eye on it. Feel free to scalp it, but just don't bag hold it in the event where it turns. So keep a close eye on it either way. But Tom, there was another stock today that was running with a lot of hype, and that is the brand new ticker symbol DJT. So tell us more.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. We talked about this one a lot yesterday with DWAC, and they switched over to ticker symbol DJT, and this is pretty much coming with the Donald Trump Media Corp acquisition and everything that has been going on there. So they pretty much switched tickers. DWAC was kind of the SPAC name for that company at the time. Now they finally got the merger going. Everything's been completed. So that's trading now is DJT, and it had a lot of hype today, jumping up over 50% at open at first. If we go back to the chart, whenever the market first opened today, it ran all the way up to almost $80 and then ended up consolidating actually had a pretty bad close. So I am watching this one tomorrow, Mike, but I will say that close being negative, I don't know. A lot of sellers started coming in there, and it's not looking too hot into tomorrow, but let's say tomorrow morning it starts running back up at open or gaps up even before open, we could start to see more good momentum.
Exactly. So it was looking good for most of the day, in my opinion, but once you got to like that last hour of close, the floodgates opened and everyone just started rushing towards the exit. So like you said, Tom, if they can recover back up, then there's opportunity with it. But at the same time, if this one doesn't start putting more pressure on these recent highs, it'll be hard to get this one rolling again. But again, keep a close eye on it because there is a lot of action with this stock. But looking at the market right now, it has been pretty choppy and slow over the past couple of days. About a month ago or so, we just saw the market ripping higher and higher and higher like every single day. And the market is still very close to its all-time high, but the momentum is definitely slowing a little bit. So, Tom, when you're looking at SPY, what are the main levels that we should be watching over like the next couple days?
Yeah, so there's actually a huge support here in the short term, very close to 518. You can see these two huge red arrows pointing right to those recent hits. That was actually a double top there, right around the all-time high before it broke last time. So I'm using that as support. SPY actually got really close to that at the end of day today. If we start to see a recovery up off of that tomorrow, that could be a good sign for bulls heading into open. Obviously, they'll watch for resistance coming up too, which is right around that 520.50 and 521 area. There was a lot of consolidation there today, and there was even like a good confirmation right off of 521 before we got that massive sell-off coming in end of day. So I'm definitely watching 521 as resistance, and even 522, which was the high of pre-market. So that's what I'm watching. I'll say this, with the way SPY closed today, I wouldn't think that it gets back up to 524 tomorrow, but that's definitely a big level up there at the all-time high too.
All right, sounds good. And what's worth noting about the S&P 500 right now is that it has gone over 102 trading days without a 2% or more pullback, which is the longest streak in 6 years. So the market has been running in a very strong way over, the past couple of months especially. And, it's truly getting to some historic levels. So keep that in mind. While there hasn't been a big pullback recently, eventually it's coming. It's just a matter of when. And in the same way where stocks go parabolic to the upside, like some of these weed stocks and just any other hype stock, even if it's an AI or chip stock, the more that the stock moves in one direction, the more momentum it gets to continue that movement in that same direction. But the same also works to the downside. When we do see sell-offs, kind of like we saw today right before close, that scares people. That tempts people to sell, and it tempts people to buy puts and short and, do all of these other bearish things, which makes the market fall even more. So it's all a snowball effect in both directions. So if we continue to see pressure put on the low of day, especially like we saw right before close today, maybe we'll see this streak broken sooner than we think.
Yeah, and there was actually a lot of the bigger stocks out there. Now, not every single one, but there was quite a bit of red out there today. Like if we go to the heat map and we even go over to like Nvidia, it was down 2.57%. The heat map overall was very red. Like Nvidia was one of the big standouts, but we even had Meta down, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Tesla was up, but other than that, the rest were pretty much down. Google was just barely up into the green. So a lot of the bigger tech stocks out there were falling, even though a lot of the other stocks were just right around break even or just slightly green. So it was pretty good to see, I guess, that, the overall market had that big move, right? And we always say that the tech stocks really control things because that's what really fueled that end of day sell-off, where a lot of these big tech stocks that had those more major moves than a lot of those smaller like stocks like Walmart and etc.
No doubt. And Tom, we're about to talk about these tech stocks quite a bit. So stay with us for a couple more minutes. But one other thing I wanted to touch on really quickly is a lot of people hear that, the market might pull back or the market has been on one of its longest winning streaks in about 6 years. And some people get a little bit scared from that. But that is not something anyone should be scared of. Pullbacks are normal, and they're actually a good, healthy thing for the market. If you have the stock market just going up every single day, well, one, it's impossible, but two, that is not healthy, and that indicates signs of like a major bubble. So like seeing pullbacks is not something you should be scared of, and if anything, you should look forward to them, because if the pullback is good enough, you could use it as a buying opportunity for the long term, and for the short term, you can trade put options or other bearish positions all day long and capitalize off of that sell-off. So just keep that in mind. I want to make sure everyone has the right mindset going into the market right now. And Tom, before we get into some setups and predictions, what is the economic schedule and the earnings calendar looking like?
Yeah, on Thursday, we do have that GDP growth rate. We talked about that quite a bit. And then while the market's closed Friday, we're going to get the PCE, personal income data, and then Powell will even have a speech at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. So be ready for that while the market's closed. But other than that, Mike, the earnings calendar was pretty, I would say, scarce for the week. We can see Carnival Cruise Lines reports tomorrow before open. GameStop actually reported tonight, and I saw that they were down quite a bit. So not good for the meme stocks tonight with, I guess their leader kind of taking a big hit.
All right. Well, I think it's now about that time for some setups and predictions for tomorrow. A stock I'm watching very closely is big bad Nvidia. So this one is super close to its all-time high, and it got rejected pretty hard, Tom. To be honest with you, that $960 area was like a brick wall for this one today, and it had a pretty nasty sell-off towards close. So I'm going to continue to watch this one to the downside tomorrow. I know some people won't be able to believe that it is possible for Nvidia to fall, but it is, believe me. But either way, I'm looking at Nvidia to the downside, and I'm not necessarily looking at like a specific price point. I am just looking for the same type of price action that we saw with Nvidia today towards open and especially towards close. I just want to see constant pressure on that low of day and to see like a further sell-off for multiple reasons. But either way, it's close on my radar for tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a pretty nasty sign when you see like Nvidia and a lot of these big tech stocks falling. And with my next one, I'm actually looking at Microsoft. So another big tech stock there in the short term that has a major support coming up. So if we zoom out a little bit on like an hourly chart, you guys can see that there has been pretty major support around this 420 to 421 area. Whenever we go out to the book map, that also confirms that. 420 had a ton of buyers stacked up there today, along with 421. So if we see good sell-offs under that like 421 and 420 mark tomorrow, and there's really that good momentum on the low of day, kind of like Mike was saying with Nvidia, then I think that we could see some good opportunities with Microsoft. But definitely keep your eyes on 420 coming up. It is pretty major, and if it does break, I think there could be a much larger sell-off that could ensue. Obviously, right now, it's only about $1, $2 away from 420, so it shouldn't be too large of a move to get there. The big question is, will we break it and get that true momentum like we did end of day today?
All right, good stuff, Tom. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is Meta, and again, it's to the downside. And while it seems like there's a lot of bearish plays today, keep in mind that a lot of these big tech stocks move together, right? And especially some of these extra hyped up ones. So Meta's another stock that has been running in a crazy way over the past couple of months. And while that's awesome to see, the uptrend is, naturally and healthily slowing down. So I am looking at this one to the downside. I would like to see a break below like the $492.50 area. But what's even more important than that is just like I was talking about with Nvidia, I want to see constant pressure on the low of day, and I want to see the stock, moving to the downside in a meaningful way. If we do see that, I will be watching it to the downside, and I think it could have a pretty nice move.
Man, Mike, whenever you go out to like a 1 minute chart or something like that with Meta or Microsoft or just a lot of these stocks that had these pretty nasty moves end of day, it looks brutal, right? Like it's not all the time that you see nasty moves like this, and Meta actually fell back under 500 again. So I'm with you. I will definitely continue to watch it to the downside. With my next play, I'm looking at one to the upside though, and that is DraftKings. They didn't have the best close as the market pulled back, but it's actually closed fairly well, still sitting very close to this $49 to $49.20 resistance. They were up 2.87% today, and I just have to give DraftKings a shout out, Mike. We have not talked about this one in a while. It's been a little bit high in the short term, but it keeps going. And hey, shout out to everybody that was buying DraftKings on the way down and that has been holding on the way up. It's been recovering up in such a good way. Let's say that you bought it at the bottom. I know most people were averaging in, but let's say you did. It's up around 350% right now from around that recent bottom. So let's go, Mike. DraftKings is on fire. It keeps breaking out on the daily, and it just broke that high of last week. So hopefully we keep seeing that nice upwards pressure, and we can catch some more possible day trades here.
Love to see it. All right, well, it's now about that time for today's momentum plays. And Tom, the wheat stocks came back today as CGC had a pretty nice move to the upside. So what's the level to watch?
Yeah, it really did. It ran above $8 today. I really want to see a good break above $7.80. That's the first spot I'm looking at intraday. And then after that, $8.20 will be the main level I want to see a break above. There could actually be a trade above $7.85 into $8.20, but just keep in mind, I think we'll see more volatility if $8.20 breaks.
All righty. With the next one, we have UPS to the downside.
Yeah, this one had some pretty crazy movement today, too. Down quite a bit. If it breaks under 142, then go ahead and eye up puts.
All right, and then with the last one, we have Coinbase for both directions.
Coin's been pretty crazy lately. I was hoping it would continue up with Bitcoin, but looking at it today, definitely pulled back pretty hard. If it breaks under 266, then go ahead and look at puts to the downside. If it ends up re-breaking above 280, then eye up calls.
All right, so we have the upside level for calls, and we have the downside level for puts for Coinbase. Don't forget about the downside level with UPS, and then the upside level with CGC. These three stocks are on watch for potential day trades tomorrow, if and only if they break through the levels Tom listed. We want to see, breaks of the levels Tom listed, and then continuations in the listed directions. So keep a close eye on these three stocks. And Tom, let's jump right into today's $1.6 million big money trade of the day. And believe it or not, we have another energy related stock. And today we are looking at ticker symbol BE. So Bloom Energy, today the big money put $1.6 million into the 11 strike call options that expire on May 17th of 2024. These call options are right at the money. They have some time to them. And just the entire energy industry has been moving to the upside in a pretty good way over the past couple of weeks and months. I like the setup on BE. It's definitely more volatile than some of the other energy stocks that we've covered, which isn't a bad thing. I would like to see BE stay above like that, $8.50 to $8.40 area. It's not necessarily like a specific level, but just like that $8.40 to $8.50 area has been a decent level of support, especially over like the past couple of weeks and months.
Yeah, definitely. Bloom Energy, it's pretty interesting. Whenever you start looking them up, they do a lot of interesting stuff with like renewable energy and stuff like that. It might not necessarily be something that like, for example, follows like oil or something, but I definitely like it, Mike. I think this could be an extremely interesting big money play with 1.6 million in it. I like the time, it'll probably be a nice swing play for a few weeks to maybe a month and a half, and could be a nice play here over the next few weeks, especially with it starting to bounce off support too, starting to fill the gap. I could see a nice move back up over the next few weeks. It was up 7.5% today, so that volatility is definitely sticking around here.
There we go. So yeah, keep a close eye on this one going forward. But Tom, looking at the market right now, we are still right at all-time highs. We have individual stocks like McDonald's, DJT, Nvidia, and a handful of other ones moving in some pretty big ways, but the beast, SPY, has not moved too much just yet. But again, it's a short week, so let's really make sure to make these next couple of days count. If you guys are new to the StockedUp YouTube channel, consider destroying that subscribe button If you do, you'll get our videos recommended to you more often. In every single video, we cover all of the important stocks that are moving right now, important events and things to know, and just multi-million dollar trades in every single video. We try to cover everything you need to know about the market in 20 to 25 minutes or less. Tom, do you have any final thoughts, or is there anything else you're watching extra closely going into tomorrow?
Yeah, I was still keeping my eyes on gold and silver as well. They did pull back a little bit today, but I'm still keeping my eyes on them in the short term, with them being metals, obviously. I know that close today was pretty rough on SPY, so we'll see how they go over the next couple days. Gold and silver. I noticed that this morning, gold had a pretty good pop and then pulled back, so maybe we'll see a better continuation tomorrow, but just wanted to throw the metals out there because I know that there's a lot of craziness, right? Like DNUT's nuts. I'm definitely watching that stock. I'm definitely watching a lot of these tech stocks down in the short term too, but just keep your eyes on metals and these energy companies too. They've been doing very well.
Sounds good. And then last but not least, I want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Demure in the Stocked Up Discord. Huge shout out to you with your big win today with ticker symbol MKC. It looks like you made almost $1,600. So keep up the great work, and you've been in the chat for just about a month now, so great job there. Besides that, thank you all so much for watching, and let's crush it in the market tomorrow.